Hi, welcome to the Rittner Floral School in Boston, Mass. I'm Dr. Steve Rittner, and it's a pleasure to welcome you into one of our classrooms today. The time of year around Christmas, and we thought that you would enjoy a brief inspirational video concerning some Christmas designing. And the topic specifically today is contemporary Christmas. Yes, contemporary Christmas. Christmas means many different things to many different people. And I think that this multifaceted aspect of the holiday is what makes it really interesting. And from a floral design point of view, we can do some amazing things that are both classical, traditional, and also contemporary in feeling. And we can do it with all kinds of different themes involved. So I think that, my viewer, you're going to find this an interesting video because in this particular video, we're going to explore some contemporary themes. Things that are really neat and fun. And I think that this should get your thinking moving in terms of some of the kinds of things that you can do for this great holiday. Let's start with this design. This is a really, really neat design. Looking at it, it's not a conventional Christmas piece at all. It's a very, very contemporary treatment. The container that we have here is a container that I like to use periodically. It's essentially a container that has moss glued to it, so it's got a sheet moss kind of finish to it. On the bottom, we've got some of our traditional balsam materials, our evergreens. Certainly, this definitely looks Christmassy because of the materials used here. But the treatment is a little bit different. If you notice here, we've got, it almost seems to be like a bunch of different things, pine cones and also millimeter balls in holiday colors, the gold and the red, a little bit of our balsam foliage, and it almost feels like it's suspended in space or hovering above these pieces of sticks. The sticks here happen to be dogwood. It's amazing stuff. Dogwood comes into us, we're getting it from a great source. The folks at Blooming and Beloit, Wisconsin produce this. They produce dogwood in a wide variety of colors. It's an amazing stuff. We've taken some dogwood and we've broken it up into little pieces. The construction of this, very, very easy. Actually, we've taken our millimeter balls and our pine cones, made sure that they have long wires on them, stuck them in the middle, creating almost like a row of these things, and then we took the dogwood, broke it down into pieces, and worked it around in a circle. It's an amazing look. It's a very contemporary look. It's a new look, and it's something that you may want to play and experiment with for the holiday. So here you happen to have something that definitely says Christmas in terms of our materials, our pine cones, our balsam, our colors in terms of our millimeter balls, reds, golds, our browns and so forth, our slight reds in terms of the dogwood, and yet it is a very, very different kind of treatment. And that's why I say a contemporary approach to this great holiday. Now, if you like this one, you might also enjoy this particular design, because if you look at it side by side, we're using a very, very similar approach on this. It's a similar approach, a little bit more ornate and a lot more in terms of our flowers here. We have a very similar kind of treatment in terms of things coming up here and being surrounded by our dogwood. But there is an added level of complexity in the second design. Let's discuss it and analyze it. Once again, we have a base, an inexpensive utility container. It's completely covered with our Christmas foliage. We have a section in the middle right here. The materials that we're using in the middle are mostly everyday type things. We're using carnations that are red, carnations that are peppermint stick. We have a few specialty things worked in here as well. We have Lysianthus, which is an amazing flower that we love. And again, it's one of these great flowers that we're getting in from Blooming and Beloit, Wisconsin. And we have this all kind of in a row here. We also happen to have some of our holly berries and holly foliage here as well. And then it's surrounded by dogwood. And in this particular case, we made this to be a little bit more one-sided, where this is coming up a little higher in the back and this is coming down a little bit lower in the front. And then we have a circle of Lysianthus flowers going around in the foam, going around this. This is not suspended. It feels like it's suspended, but the stems are actually going into the foam. Again, it's an easy look, it's a fun look, and playing with things like this will give your designing a very, very different kind of look for the holiday, and that's why, again, we call it contemporary Christmas, because we think that this is really, really cool stuff. Now, let's show you some other looks for this particular holiday that I think you guys are going to enjoy. And again, the whole idea on this tape, on this video, is to really get you thinking in terms of different kinds of treatments, different kinds of approaches that you can use. Again, the theme, definitely contemporary, definitely contemporary. Let me move this, my viewer, so that we can focus our attention only on this design. This is a wild one. This is a wild one. It is a design made in a fairly flat container. It is meant to be kind of a centerpiece, so it's viewable pretty much all the way around. So whether you look at it one side or another, it doesn't really matter. We've got a flat container. It's a round container, completely greened with some of our Christmas greens, and then all kinds of things inserted into it. But what is really most apparent is right up here, our dogwood. Because what we've done in this is we've taken our dogwood, placed it in. Dogwood is a lot longer than what you see here. We've taken it in, pushed it in, and then bent it over. You have to really, really push it very, very strongly into your foam, otherwise it'll basically pop out at you. But by doing that, we're getting all kinds of weird arches, and we're crisscrossing them through the center of the design. So you get a really, really interesting kind of an effect. Flower-wise, a combination of things. We've got some lisianthus in here. We have some of these. These are amazing. These are basically flowering grevillea blooms. And we are using a red variety, again from the folks of Blooming Abelloid, an amazing, amazing kind of material. The use of our traditional pine cones, our millimeter balls for a little bit of glitz in both red and green and a few gold mixed through, and then lots of holly, and of course the holly berries, which are so wonderful around this time. This kind of design is one that you might want to consider for your dining room table if you want a contemporary kind of look on your dining room table, or perhaps you might want something like this on a coffee table in a living room or common area. It's pretty, it's unusual, it gives a very, very different look again to this multifaceted holiday. Once again, if you put any of these things out that have berries, do keep pets and small kids away from them. These are meant to be viewed, not ingested. All right, so we've got those designs. Let's see what else we can come up with in contemporary for this wonderful holiday. And my viewer, I'm just taking a second to pick something up and put it in front of you. Here we go. This is a design that I think you guys are going to find really interesting. We normally associate Christmas with a wide variety of motifs and symbols and different kinds of things. This happens to be obviously a motif based on a Christmas tree. But again, it's a non-traditional Christmas tree. This is a tabletop tree meant to be placed on a table. It's making use again in this particular design of our dogwood. You'll notice that the dogwood is now not cut up into small pieces, but in its full glory. And the dogwood is placed going off in different directions to simulate the shape of our tree. It is viewable all the way around. And to create the feeling of ornaments, we've got all kinds of ornaments worked here with our glass balls. We have a cluster of glass balls and a little bit of moss on the top. Again, meant for somebody who is looking for a new look, a contemporary look for this great holiday. All right, my viewer, what else do we have? Well, we've got some other neat things here that I think that you're going to find of interest. Let's find another one for you to see. I'm so excited about showing these things to you because I think that they're really, really neat, and they're so much fun to make, and they're so much fun to show off. What about this one? Isn't this neat? First of all, you'll notice the container is a rather oddball container. We have a container that has a bottom opening as well as the top, and we're making ample use of it. And on the top of the design, we have something that is essentially a high-style arrangement, a linear arrangement, and we're using a wide variety of things to achieve our effect. This definitely says holiday, it definitely says Christmas, but it does it in an unconventional and a very contemporary way. The overall outline of this design is made using, again, some of our dogwood branchy material, and we've got here, we've got up here, we've got coming down here, here, and here. Then to reinforce it and to give contrast, this stuff, kochia. It is amazing. Any of you who have been watching our video series remember that we have used kochia in the past. It is an amazing product. This particular kochia was brought in from Israel by the folks of Blooming Abelloid, Wisconsin. It has a white silvery kind of finish. The thing I like about our kochia is that everything looks good against it. It gives amazing contrast, and this silvery kind of white effect works very, very well when we're playing with holiday motifs. So we've got a reinforcement of our cochia working off in different directions. And then we've got, again, the same grevillea blooms here that you saw earlier. This time we're making use of more of the length of the stems. We're not using too many of them, 1, 2, 3, 4 of these, and that sets the scene. Again, we're using our traditional colors, reds, whites, golds, greens, that kind of thing to achieve our effect. And then as a focal point, a very, very large mass of bling, of glitz. We've got some of our millimeter balls in our reds, in our golds, a few pine cones mixed in the center. And then to bring the theme on the second level, on the lower level here, where we do have a thing here, we've got some of our millimeter balls kind of peeking out at us. This is a beautiful design that would work very, very well in an entry area. It would work well on a sideboard, might work nicely in your bay window. It gives a lot of class to the holiday, but it is definitely non-traditional in its treatment, and we thought that you would enjoy it today. Okay, we've got one more design that we would like to share with you that I think you will find interesting, relating to the theme of contemporary Christmas. Wow, isn't this one interesting? This is a cool one. And again, non-traditional. Who said that Christmas always has to be the traditional stuff? Oh, we love the traditional, but sometimes we just want to go wild and wacky and have a good time. And this design is a good example of that. First of all, the base. The base on this design, if you notice it, is something that is more sculptural. We have some wrought iron that we have, and it's been kind of formed into a little kind of platform, and this is upon which we've got our foam. And then we've used, again, some of the same materials you saw in the last design, some of our dogwood branching material in the reds works very, very well. It extends the shape of this out over on this side. It comes over here, defines our design overall. Then coming in with some of our cochia, here, 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 helping to define the parameters of the design. But we wanted to play with some different flowers in this one, and we're using a very, very interesting combination. If you look here very carefully, you'll notice some of our mini callas that are intertwined with some of our branches, a few mini callas working over to the right-hand side of the design and gradually coming in towards the center. And then a couple of our red gerbera as a focal point right here in the middle. Some of our use of our millimeter balls in green, gold, and red here, and red and gold over here, creating a nice counterpoint to the diagonal that's formed here. Another one is coming over on this side. And then finally, some of our small red asters, our Japanese asters, creating lines coming in, bringing our eye in towards the focal point. This is a beautiful design, and certainly one that is a little on the wild side, but I think it does a very, very good job of, again, exemplifying this concept of contemporary Christmas. Well, my viewer, we've covered a lot of ground in a short period of time. We've seen in this video that you can really do some very, very interesting things when it comes to Christmas designing that are outside the box. Think in terms of the colors of the holiday, reds, golds, greens, things like that, which are traditional, but think in terms of using them in unique and new ways. And don't be afraid to play with different levels on your design. The several designs we started in the beginning suspended our materials coming up a little higher and gave us these little hedges of some of our wonderful dogwood branches. And we can go in so many different directions when it comes to Christmas designing, and I think that once in a while it's fun to consider some of these contemporary things as well. On behalf of all of us here at Rittner's Floral School, it was a pleasure having you come in and visit with us today. We all want to wish you a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I am Dr. Steve Rittner. Thank you for coming in and visiting our school today.